was like, I'll take Jack out. I was like, I don't think you are. So I took Jack out. And I was like, she picked out all these recipes to make for the week. And so I was like, I guess I will go to the store. So I did that. And then she's like, I'll make you a latte. I'll make you a latte. I got home. The thing was off. It was 10:59. She's like, oh, sorry.
Okay.
That's okay.
Oh.
I'm glad you know her that well. Dang. I guess wishful thinking on her part, right?
Yeah, like I have good intentions. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm so tired and like I feel like I'm going through this phase in my life where I just want to sleep as much as possible right now.
hmm
Yeah, I'm not really fighting it.
Yeah, I start the new job in a week, and I
Oh,
and I do feel like I'm a bit brain dead to start a new job, but it is what it is.
I think it's okay though. You're probably just like storing up like brain energy.
Yeah, I hope so. I took off the last couple days before I start.
Yeah, smart.
Nice.
Yeah, I hope
Yeah,
so. I hope.
nice erg.
Oh, hey, thanks.
When'd you get that?
Like a year ago.
Oh, nice. Have you been using it?
No,
Oh,
no.
cool.
But I got it.
Nice decoration.
Thank you. I don't hang anything on it,
Yeah,
so that's good.
yeah. So you're still one step away from having completely given up on it.
Mhm. It's okay.
That's funny.
Okay, well, I'm ready.
Ready for what, Whitney?
Ready to defend the movie that I chose.
Yeah, so this week on Rom-Com Me Not, we watched 2011 rom-com Crazy Stupid Love, stellar cast,
Yes,
Yeah,
agreed.
mixed
for real.
reviews.
Look, the movie has Marissa Tomei in it.
That's what I was gonna say. Without Emma Stone or Marissa Tomei, this movie is nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I think that's a pretty accurate statement. Both of them were shining stars. Emma Stone is so good.
In everything.
Yeah. Yeah, she's so reliable. Like she's hot, she's funny, like she's just got it all, you know?
hmm All
She's
right,
also
so go
she's a
ahead.
pro oh, I was just gonna say she's also like very approachable as like whatever character she's playing, she does it in like a very, very genuine way. So
hmm
I do think that like while there may be some defending, like you will not have to defend Emma Stone because even in a movie that I didn't particularly like, I still liked her so much and her character and her role in the movie.
hmm Yeah, always. But what I was gonna say is the cast, it is a stellar cast. We have Ryan Gosling as Jacob, Steve Carell as Cal Weaver, Julianne Moore as Emily Weaver, Emma Stone as Hannah, Marissa Tomei as Kate, Leo Tipton as Jessica, who was the third place contestant on America's Next Top Model, I think. I think this is what she did right after.
Oh,
Huh.
Yeah, like season 11, maybe.
hmm.
But she did look familiar. Kevin Bacon, Jonah Bobo as Robbie Weaver, and Joey King as Molly. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's full. I didn't even list everyone.
star-studded.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Josh Groban makes an appearance.
Oh my gosh. I know. I
What?
forget about him and I'm just so annoyed every time I see him now.
Yeah.
I didn't even catch that. I don't even think I know I know who he is, like, but I don't know what he looks like or anything, you know?
Yeah, you'll remember when we get to him.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
Want to start?
yeah. Movie opens up with some classic opposite sex shoe canoodling under the table, just kind of setting up the scene. It's like it's actually a pretty probably a good way to introduce this movie though, because there are many different like pairs of like opposite sex couples in this movie. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
that opening scene with like all the different shoes, you know, like touching each other under the table or whatever, is actually sets the tone pretty good.
Yeah, and then we get to Cal and Emily's table, and I'm sure he's wearing, I don't know for sure, but is he wearing like New Balance
Yes,
tennis
dad.
shoes?
Yeah, I literally took a note here that says Steve Carell has dad shoes.
Yes. So there was a clear difference between under all the tables.
Right. Kind of setting him up as the character that he is. He's just kind of like, I guess he's just kind of like boring a little bit, right? Like as a guy
Yeah,
in
and
the
you can tell there's like awkward silence between the two of them. Like
Mhm.
they don't know what to talk about. They're just looking at the menu and they're really quiet.
Right.
And
These guys have been married for a long time and they've lost the spark.
yep. And they decide to say on the count of three what they think they want for dinner.
Oh yeah.
And Cal says caramel brulee. Caramel brulee. Yeah. Did you say that? Creme brulee. Creme brulee.
Oh,
Sorry, I've been working at
caramel
Starbucks,
brulee
you
is a
know?
latte, right?
So yeah, so Cal says creme brulee and Emily says divorce.
Yeah.
And that sets the movie going.
And Emily, by the way, that's Julianne Moore. So Steve
Yes.
Carell and Julianne Moore are the, I guess, like what you might consider the main couple, if you could say that, but they're definitely the
I'm
first couple.
yeah, this is a big movie to undertake. I feel like there's so many different scenes that kind of connect and tell different it's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. And it does all come together in the end, which I did not see coming, but we'll get to that.
I know. That whole scene is my favorite scene.
Yeah. I that scene was pretty funny. It was like I genuinely had no idea like how these people were going to be related to each other at all until that scene. I was like, "Oh shit." Like, okay, I see. I see. This is one big family. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. All right. And then we're on the car ride home where Emily is constantly talking because she's a nervous talker and Cal is
Mm,
just sitting there, kind of with his head down, asking her to stop talking.
hmm
She admits she has an affair with her coworker, David Lindhagen.
Kevin
Um,
Bacon, right?
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Yes. Cal asks her to stop talking, and when she doesn't, he opens the door and rolls out of the car.
Yeah, classic like man that can't talk about his feelings here.
Honestly, I feel like I relate to that, where you just can't get someone to stop and you have to leave, and that was his only way of leaving.
I mean, she obviously wanted to have open dialogue. He couldn't do it. He was just feeling too much. And
Yeah.
like, I have to say, like, I have jumped out of a moving car, not for this reason, but I have done this before. So I,
Lauren's face is both you did and not surprised.
yeah, I mean, I was like a teenager and it was definitely teenage angst and being dragged somewhere that I just did not want to go. And yeah, I just, made a move. So, um, it hurt. Was not worth it. But anyway, the car was going slower than it was, I think, in the scene where he jumped out. I think that,
I think they were moving. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, when I saw that scene, I was like, okay, he would have broken his hip for sure. But he's unscathed.
yes, and they make it back to their house.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, what's the next scene? So like I know like I
Well, they get back to the house, and I know the babysitter has just caught Robbie doing some private things with
oh
himself.
right. Okay,
That's
so
what
like
happens.
right. So Cal and Emily's son,
Right,
right?
Robbie.
Okay, Robbie. Yeah,
And then he
he's like
makes it much, much, much more awkward by saying, "But I think of you."
yeah,
And
the
yeah, it
whole
was
thing is so cringy. Like it's hard to watch. It's like, oh my God, how embarrassing. Like and and the other thing is like I felt like it was a little unrealistic though that that kid would be so open in talking to her
so
about it.
confident right afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm like no way. No like 12-year-old boy is like that confident about his hot babysitter that he
Yeah.
thinks about catching him like no way. No way. What's his name?
Robbie.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And they get home and continue talking about wanting to have a divorce. And the babysitter hears, and so does the son, right?
Mm-hmm.
hmm
And then they're like, "Oh, sorry, didn't see you standing there," which kills me.
Yes, you
But
would have.
yeah,
But at least Lauren everybody heard, so that was realistic. I know you have a
It,
hard time with that.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
oh, yeah, that makes sense. I liked that Robbie heard, because I felt like he seems like a pretty mature kid. He immediately started to empathize with his dad.
Yeah,
He
And
did.
what probably wasn't the best is finding out about the affair that his mom had. I know that, I mean, that would definitely make me
Mhm.
think a little bit more negatively about that parent without
Mhm.
understanding.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Definitely.
I liked that everyone knew kind of immediately. So they all started, everyone knew there were no secrets. I liked it.
Yeah. There's definitely no like secretive behavior really in this movie at all. Like so that's I guess another like positive thing I'll add like that they're not relying on those classic like he doesn't know that she doesn't know and she doesn't know that she doesn't know and he doesn't like
Hmm.
none of that. Like everybody pretty much knows everything the whole time.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah. They set up a lot of good conflict without relying on those, you know, tropes or whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
so the family realizes that their family is in trouble and the baby and then we find out that the babysitter has the hots for the dad, you know, which again like probably pretty realistic. Like she's developing, you know, she's figuring out who she is and you know, she's got a crush on like the kid that she babysits dad. Like that's, you know, that sounds normal to me, you know. She really likes him though, like a lot, you know, like it's a little
Like
uncomfortable.
an obsession. Yeah.
Mhm.
It had me nervous. I gotta be honest, like I was like, oh, what
It
is
made
2011 about to do here?
it made me think of, did either of you watch the show The Fall?
Mm-mm.
No.
It was with Jamie Dornan and Gillian Anderson. I think it's one of my favorite. It's like a mini series. I think it's one of my favorites. He is a serial killer in it, but there is
Ooh.
this like side story in it having to do with this teenager that's obsessed with him and he takes advantage of
Mm,
her, like has her do things for him, but
mm,
also it's like sexually really, it's really uncomfortable. And that's what
yeah.
this also made me think of. It, yeah, it's uncomfortable a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm like I was so scared that something was gonna happen there, you know, like and I like spoil this whole thing's a spoiler alert, like it doesn't, but like it really like I was like, oh my God, I don't want to see this.
Well, I
But
think the thing that saves it is Steve Carell's character. I think you can immediately tell that he's a dad and he's trustworthy and he's a good person. And
yeah.
so I was never afraid it would cross the line, but it was gross on her part.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But while all that's happening, we are in another scene getting introduced to Hannah and her friend, whose name I just wrote down as Hannah's friend.
Oh, I didn't catch the friend either. Yeah, but they're at a
Is it
bar.
Liz?
I don't know.
That sounds pretty good.
Let's call her Liz.
It is Liz. Here we go. Yes. Yes, Hannah's friend Liz.
Hannah and Liz. They're in a bar, right? And kind of like a club, more like a club, I would say. Probably I wouldn't call that a bar. And and so Ryan Gosling is there too. What's his character? Oh, Jake. Right, of course, another
Jacob.
Another
Jacob.
Jake.
Like every movie. What is
It's
with
really
that?
How
odd, right?
many is
Isn't it?
that? That's a lot now.
I feel
We
like the
haven't done that many
majority.
movies.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
more Jakes than not as far as the movies go.
yeah. We like we'll have to do like a recap episode at the end of this year about all the Jakes.
Yeah, very strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so
But
we meet all of
we
those. Oh,
yeah, we
sorry.
meet Hannah and Liz first, and I'm pretty sure they're talking about Hannah's boring and she has a boring boyfriend and
Hmm.
she's just studying and gonna pass the bar and gonna marry her boring boyfriend predictably. And
Hmm.
so that's what we're
Yeah.
introduced to. But
Liz can't
then
take it.
right. Liz definitely wants more for Hannah, but then we do see Ryan Gosling locks eyes onto Hannah
Right.
and
Right.
walks over and shoots a shot.
Right. And we immediately get the sense that this Ryan Gosling character is one of those classic like pickup artist types, you know, like and he does it well. Like
Yeah, he's very charming, but it does seem very textbook, like he went
yeah,
to school for this, you know?
right. Like this guy was about to start his YouTube career coaching other men how to be pickup artists.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so like you said, he shoots his shot and you know, like they kind of do like a whole little like montage too of like showing us like the kind of guy that he is, you know, of like I wrote down like a lot of fast talking, you get a lot of little snippets of his personality or what
Mhm.
I guess what you think is his personality but it's actually not. And I think that's true for most of these pickup artist type guys. Like obviously like they're hiding, they're
Hmm.
themselves, most of them, I would say. So okay, and there's so much jumping around. I don't even know where to go from here.
Well, Hannah and Liz leave the bar. Hannah says, no, thank you. You're hot. No, thank you.
Right.
And they leave the bar. And then we jump to the next day where Cal has an apartment. His kids are
Mm.
there and Jessica's there to babysit because he's going out shopping for a makeover with Jacob.
Yeah. Wait, did Cal meet Jacob?
So he, so
Oh,
right,
duh.
so
Sorry. I didn't get to that night. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, Cal says he'll leave right away. When he's talking to Emily,
right.
and then he goes to this bar.
Same place.
Yeah,
It's like one of the main places we are,
Yeah.
isn't it? We're
Yeah.
mostly in
yeah,
this bar. Yeah.
I
yes,
And
think
it's
the
yeah,
beautiful,
whole
so great.
Right, the
yeah,
whole movie, all the bar scenes are at this one
Hmm.
place. Yeah.
yeah. And it's an interesting clientele because it is the age range of Hannah, Emma Stone's character, all the way through older dudes
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
one older woman, Marissa Tomei. By
Right.
older, I mean like firmly middle-aged.
Yes.
Yeah, and Steve Carell is sitting at the bar and he's like being that guy that laments his wife cheating on him and getting a divorce loudly for everyone to hear and tries to talk to
Hmm.
the women next to him about it, only to realize he's being snubbed and bartenders
Well,
can't stand him. And he does
he's
this like,
miserable.
yeah,, but he's like trying to make.
Right. He is spreading the misery. Yeah.
Yes. And finally, after a number of evenings doing this, Jacob snaps at him or whistles. Does he whistle at him across the bar and then
I
like
think so.
waves to
And
him?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
gestures. He tells the woman he's with to just give him a minute with this guy, and then he waves Steve Carell over, and Steve Carell picks up his little drink with his swizzle stick in it that he's drinking out of. And he does such a good job being like the pre and post makeover character. But anyway, goes over, talks to Jacob, and Jacob's like, "You're making everybody miserable. Like, I'd like to help you. You remind me of somebody I know. Meet me at the mall."
Hmm.
Oh, that's a good point that you just brought up there, Lauren, that like Steve Carell tends to be this guy in a lot of movies and in different ways, different
Hmm.
versions, like 40-Year-Old Virgin and like others that I'm like not thinking of, like the makeover guy, like he starts off like crusty and then he ends up being more desirable. Like that's such a thing with him.
I mean, even his character grew, like the animated character grew, starts off like not great and turns into this really nice, loving, charming guy. Like even in the cartoon.
Yeah. I don't even know what Gru is.
Maybe it's in his contract that he has
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
become that lovable character. Because I know, Jason Statham has a clause in his contracts that say he can't die.
Really?
Really,
Yeah, so maybe Steve Carell has something like that.
that's funny.
That's so
Jenna,
funny. I didn't know.
Gru is from the
Despicable
Despicable
Me.
Me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, got it. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I know. Now I get it. Yeah. Yeah, well then maybe that is in his contract. I mean, I guess Anchorman he doesn't there's he stays the same guy in Anchorman. So
Mhm.
we'll make that one exception, but anyway, yeah. So I guess like yeah, so Jake kind of swoops him up and is like you're going to be my project essentially. And then do we go back to him talking to his wife or do they go right to the mall?
Well, then Cal has a new apartment, and the kids come over to stay with him, and immediately he leaves.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
that too. Not only does he leave for the day, but then it goes into the nighttime as well.
Yes.
Yeah. I know.
The kids really do a good job at being flexible here.
Yes. Yep. Yep. They don't get mad at their parents. They're just, yeah, going along. Yeah. So,
Understanding the whole time.
yep.
Mm. That's the only thing that's like that's like very unrealistic. Like I feel like that boy like they would be like that kid would be like, "Are you kidding me, Dad? You're gonna leave?" Like things would be so sensitive at that point, you
Yeah,
know?
I wonder because we don't really see the younger sister Molly. We don't really see her much at all, except at the one of the last scenes.
Yeah, she doesn't talk.
She hardly speaks, and all she does when she goes over to Cal's apartment is immediately go over and start dancing the dances on the music videos in front of the TV. Like she doesn't care. She's just a little
Mhm.
girl in her own world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's
there's
kind
not
of
a
a
lot of
throwaway
character.
character.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. She's kind of a placeholder in a way. But anyway, yeah, so that okay, so then he goes and he meets Jake then, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
Jacob,
they meet at the mall.
where he gets new outfits.
He gets
I know
slapped
I was
around by Jacob.
yeah.
Oh, he gets slapped. Is this where he gets slapped?
He gets slapped in the face because he keeps. I think the first thing that Jacob does is has Steve Carell take off his shoes, and then he like chucks him over the. I can't even think of the word, like the
Oh,
banister up in the top of the mall over into like the food court, and he was like, "What
right.
are you? You are not allowed to wear these shoes, right?" So he has to go get new shoes, new pants. He asks if he can go shop at the Gap, and Jacob slaps him in the face, says no.
I mean, the slap
So
is funny. The like it, you know what I mean? Like it's that the fact that I don't know. I thought that was like a funny little thing. But okay, so then does he have again, there's so much jumping around. Then does he go talk to his wife? Yeah, I don't again, this movie there's so many they're developing so many different storylines that it's like I wish I had it in
oh
front of me frame by frame like
yeah, so they do the whole makeover in the mall,
Yeah,
and
I
then
basically I wrote shopping montage followed by hitting on girls montage.
yeah,
okay.
so then they go to the bar, and this is where
That's a good way to
Steve
sum it up.
yeah, Cal is just supposed to be learning from Jacob how to talk to women. And so it's a
Mhm.
lot of this, you tell them what to do, make them seem interesting to you, right? Like you don't talk about yourself, like
Mhm.
all these like power moves. And then yeah, it's this montage of watching Jacob take women home and Cal just be left there at the bar.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah, which like again, this movie it's like I think at the time when I was watching it, I was just like, oh my God, this is so reductive towards women. Like this idea that you can just pull all the little marionette
Mhm.
strings and get exactly what you want out of it. And, but it's, I do have to remember that it's a comedy. You know what I mean?
But here's the thing too, like without going too far into it, 'cause, there's stuff at the end I feel like that makes the whole thing feel redeemable, but it's so
Hmm.
cringy to watch.
Yeah,
I think that's what was hard is like I don't like watching these scenes, and I know it all resolves itself, but I don't like it, you
I
know?
don't
Mhm.
And
either.
also it's true that people are pretty malleable, and if you do know, I mean, like you can persuade and or manipulate people pretty easily if you study, like
Right.
which is also like I don't know. So it's
Yeah, it's just
all
hard to watch.
real. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I get, and also
And it's
like,
all
I guess,
consenting people too. I mean, that's the other thing. It's all
right.
consenting people. So it's not like it doesn't feel good to watch somebody who seems to have this game, but also like I don't know that all parties are like I don't know that the women are going to the bar thinking something else is about to happen, aside from
Right.
Marissa Tomei, which we'll
Right,
get to
which we'll
We're
get
momentarily.
to.
almost there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. No, that's a good point. Like that is like when you go out to the club and like this whole like that's what they're looking for. Like this, yeah. It is hard to watch. But so okay, so then does he meet Marissa? Does Cal
Well,
meet?
let
Oh,
me
Not
go
just say
ahead.
yet.
one other thing that's tough about it. When Jacob is having his education time with Cal, he also does say like, let's face it, we won the gender war, but women still deserve to feel like we listen and stuff like that, right? So it's like that thing too, where it's his attitude, which just makes you like, even if
Yeah.
everybody is a consenting adult, it also just is terrible to know what his internal dialogue is. So that's
Yes.
just the other thing.
Yeah.
The next thing that happens is we go to the next day and Robbie has been suspended from school for saying asshole so many times, trying to argue his point about the Scarlet Letter.
Yes.
And so his mom comes and picks him up and he ends up at his mom's work where we get to meet David Lindhagen, who is, I should have said Kevin Bacon. And I love Kevin Bacon, and what a perfect person for this because he tries too hard and he's just over eager. And it's perfect.
Yes.
It's perfect because you feel suffocated by him immediately on
Yes.
Julianne Moore's behalf.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. He nailed it. He nailed it. And the
Yes.
fact that he sits there and tries to talk to this kid after what just happened, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like this, You're lucky this kid isn't kicking you in the balls right now, bro. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was
He-
great. I liked his introduction to the story a lot.
yeah. Yeah, he does nail it. And again, this kid just being way more mature. I guess he does lash out at school though, right? Like that's where he kind of let it out in his
Well,
asshole speech.
yeah, he says that love stinks.
Right. Call back to the wedding singer.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So then we go to the gym with Cal and Jacob.
Mm.
And like Lauren had said, he's basically talking about his ideals about women and how to talk to them. And basically has his dick in his face the whole time. And
Oh
I
yeah.
feel like it was for straight white women pleasure only, because there was no point. They were in the locker room, and then all of a sudden they were in the steam room in the
Right.
same position. It was funny.
I mean,
But
I think
unnecessary.
I mean definitely unnecessary, but when you like yes, I think that was definitely like for straight women, like right, because Ryan Gosling and like we have to keep in mind like the time in which this movie came out was like after like his like Notebook.
After
Like
like the Notebook and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
like everybody was like straight women and gay men probably
Yeah.
every we're very all about Ryan Gosling at this time.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I think it was supposed to like exude confidence. I think
that's
maybe
yeah.
Cal was supposed to be uncomfortable because Jacob
Yeah.
was so confident, and that's what he was showing him.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say, Whitney. I actually think that was to exactly what you just said, you know, a show of confidence. And like I feel like Ryan Gosling's character was just going over the top to like break this guy down, you know.
Hmm.
So yeah, in a way he was kind of like showing off, meanwhile pleasing all man-loving human beings. Yeah. I mean, but he's
Yes.
got a great body. Like he is like a really good-looking like guy, you know, like he's
It was
definitely
chiseled. I
like
was
a
like, whoa.
yeah, chiseled. Yeah, he
Yeah.
really
Oh,
is.
I think I read somewhere he thinks that they digitally touched him up.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, he thinks so,
Oh, that's
Wow. I
interesting.
was
but I
gonna
don't
say
think they
that
told him.
that's really funny because it
Yeah.
seemed unreal. Like it,
That's so interesting that he thinks that. I wonder if if that is like one of those things where like they didn't and he just doesn't understand like his like because people have like different types of like dysmorphia. It doesn't always mean like sometimes you have it in a way that like you do look like a lot better than you think you do. You know what I mean? Like and you might not notice it until you see yourself on camera or something like it, maybe they didn't or maybe they did and he's like no
Yeah.
you did. Yeah. I don't know. Just
But
throwing that out there.
yeah, I think we're at our scene now. We get to the bar, and it's
Mhm.
time for Cal to go off on his own.
Right.
yes.
And he catches the eye of Marissa Tomei's character. What was her name again? Oh, I have an IMDb.
Kate.
Okay. Yeah. And she immediately catches his eye. She's also obviously a woman in the bar that's around his age, you know, which I think helps him a little bit, you know. And then he approaches her
He
He starts
approaches her
trying to
with
do,
Jacob. Yep.
yep,
and he's an ass, right?
yeah, he does the Jacob playbook. He's like, not boring. What else? Like boring. What
Yeah, yeah,
else?
everything she says, he's like boring. It's like not working. But that
It's all the
but
ugly,
again,
none of the charm.
right, but it's like not working, but it like does work,
Well,
right?
because
Eventually.
then he admits he's like, I'm sorry, I'm just, and he gets super honest about like, I'm getting divorced and my wife cheated on me and I am trying to do all these things, but like I miss my kids, I miss my wife, what is the thing that
And
comes
I'm
back to
supposed
bite
to
him?
tell you that you're the a combination of what is it?
Oh, sweet
The
and
best
sexy.
combination of sexy and cute,
Right, because
Yeah.
that's what he told his wife. And then
right? And
Jacob
then
stole that line.
right, and then at the end of Cal's rant, she says, "You think I'm the perfect combination between sexy and cute?"
Yeah, that's like all she latches on to.
Yes. And then we
Yeah.
go home.
Yep.
Right, right. So then
And
they go home and they sleep together and Steve Carell, like he did it. He, you know, he
Marissa Tomei's energy in these scenes,
yeah.
she is like a teenager. First, it's important to say we find out she's 5 years sober.
Okay.
And that's important for
I didn't
later.
catch that. I
Oh
didn't
yeah,
even like.
she's 5 years sober. She was drinking like soda water or something. Cause remember he forces the order of drinks and she said, I'm 5 years sober. He's yeah.
Right. And he gets her the drink anyway. It's
Right.
like,
And then
dude.
and she just keeps asking him to say something honest.
Right.
And that's how he gets her. It's so funny.
That is kind of funny. Yeah, she's so good at being like under like crazy is just under the surface. You know?
Yes. Yes, I love her. She is perfect.
Yeah, she really is. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I am lost in my notes. Where do we go next?
Well, do we then have the montage of he continues to pick up women?
At some point here, yeah, like I think that sets him off. Like he gets her and then he kind of like keeps the momentum up, you know? I don't know if that's exactly when the montage.
Do we cut back to Hannah yet?
We should have at some point, and it was just Hannah going to dinner with her boyfriend, who is a lawyer, and his associates
Played by
for
Josh
his
Groban.
birthday. Yeah, played by Josh Groban.
Oh, that's Josh Groban. Okay. Okay. Now I get it. Okay.
What's a good way to describe his character?
Oh, that's a
That's
great
it.
question. Yeah.
Ugh.
Like,
He is
he
like
doesn't seem like a bad guy, but
he's just like he's like disconnected. I feel like it, you know, like he's almost like a caricature of himself kind of thing. Like, or I don't, yeah, there's a better way of putting what
but
he is.
and at no point did I like him or root for him.
No, no, because you can tell that he's not really present. Like he's not really seeing her. He's more seeing that she's about to become a lawyer, right? And
Mhm,
like he's like proud of her, but he's not paying attention to what her actual, self is feeling
mhm,
about it.
When he's a little condescending. They're at the they're at a lunch before she really hunkers down to study for the bar, and
mhm,
he says that they'll be back to celebrate when she's done or when she passes, and stay tuned because there'll be another set of thing about good news at that
Yeah,
celebration. And she takes that to mean that he'll propose to her, which
right.
is annoying to me because I just don't really understand why her good thing couldn't just be a good thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why,
Well, because
if it's,
they're box checking though. That's why. Like
but
they're,
no,
like that.
I know, but just as a thing though, I'm just saying it's like, you're doing all this studying to pass the bar. If you pass the bar, then something good will happen. And like the assumption that that's a proposal, I think if I got proposed to when I passed the bar, I would be a little annoyed because I'd be like, well, can I just celebrate passing the bar? And then
Right.
let's have this fun thing tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like,
mhm.
why we got to
I
take
see
the
what you're
light off
saying.
this? That's yeah. I
But
was like
it
a little turned off. I didn't
but
like
it
him
does
if that was what was going to happen.
but it does serve the purpose of showing you that their whole relationship exists on the surface. And it's probably one of those relationships where they jump from thing to thing, right? Like they do that like event jumping, like, like
Well,
they'll
maybe we don't know that that's where he's at. And he also
well,
calls her like
right,
Hannah Banana, and
right,
he doesn't really talk to her like a peer,
Mhm.
right. That's true.
which I like. The friend Liz is just like on it because
She like
he's
hates him.
yeah, and he's like really hateable.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like the whole thing is like he's not for her, like that's really what it all serves.
We do have a side story, and we'll go over briefly because it's such an uncomfortable story where Jessica is trying to get advice from one of her classmates on how to be sexier for
Oh
older
yeah.
Yeah,
men
I
and
hated that.
tells her to take naked pictures.
I hated that so much. I was like, no, like that it's
Hmm.
sexual assault. Like that's
Hmm.
but again, like, does that happen? Yeah. You know, um, but yeah, hard to watch for sure. I just wanted to like grab those two young women like out of the TV and just be like, come with me for a little while. Like, let me get you out of this hell that you're in right now. Oh, but anyway, yeah, her friend advises her to take a nude photo, right? To attract Cal. So she
Hmm.
does. and she puts them in an envelope because it's 2011. And
One other thing I just want to note, this is going a little bit back, but when Cal was moving out, that's like the one other time so far where he and Julianne Moore have been in the same like frame together. This is
Mhm.
like before all the training on how to be, super suave. And she like tries to talk to him and he just like doesn't he just won't have it. He just said something like, well, you should have thought of that before sleeping with David Lindhagen. And
he was very hung up on her having had an affair, you know.
yeah, so I just wanted
Yeah.
to note that because I feel like it's relevant later. And also thought it was funny because she like then gives him a lot of advice on how to like back out of the driveway because he's not good at it.
She adds him
Um,
if she wants him to do it,
yeah,
or if she wants her to. Oh my gosh.
That is funny.
It was so sweet in the
yeah,
heartbreak.
yeah. And then all he wants to do is give her advice on how to take care of the yard because the yard and the lawn are
Mhm.
like his pride and joy.
Which is a great transition because I think one of the next scenes is where we see him sneaking onto the property, taking care of the lawn at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
This is
that's
like
really
something,
sweet.
right. This is like something he does throughout the movie. These
Hmm.
these were the times in these scenes where he was sneaking on his yard to take care of it, and he could see his family like through the window. Like those were very sad scenes. Like
Right. And I think that was a reminder to us that he is becoming a ladies' man, but his heart is still there. I think that's for
yeah.
the audience to just a little insight into how he feels without having to tell
Hmm.
us. Um, but then we get to the next day and there's a parent teacher conference and
Mm,
Emily and Cal are waiting outside of the Robbie's English teacher's classroom
right.
and they just y'all might have a better idea of what they're talking about.
They're just having a nice connecting moment. Like he looks better. She's like, you look cleaned up. And she's like kind of asking a couple probing questions because she's been hearing some things about him, but he's just kind of like, yeah, I'm doing all right. Like not really saying too much, but they are connecting. It does feel sweet. And
They're connecting over their shared responsibility as parents. I feel like is bringing them like they have to come together for this parent
right.
thing, teacher thing. And then I feel like that is leading them into like this shared, experience where they connect a little.
Yep.
And
And
like
then
it's obvious that Julianne Moore's real sorry. I know you want to get to the next scene. I'm just saying like it is obvious that Julianne Moore like she just so badly still wants to connect with him, and he has completely shut her out because she had an affair. God forbid, a woman like does again that this is a society thing, like not the movie. Like it's like if a woman cheats on a man, then burn her at the stake, like, and he's definitely acting like that, like obviously he comes off of it, but I'm just saying, like, he won't even talk to her. So this is like the first moment where he even entertains a conversation with her,
Yeah.
like,
I feel like Emily has wanted to like have it out the whole time. She has
yeah,
wanted to have a huge blowout fight so that he can say what he needs to say and she can say
yeah,
what she needs to say, but she can't really say it because she is the one who actually did the big bad thing.
exactly.
And she can't justify that without having it out, and he just won't.
Right. Right. Yeah, he's kind of denying them the opportunity to have the fight that they obviously need to have.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then, all right, Lauren, now what happens next
well, I
after?
was just gonna say also though, like he wouldn't even talk to her before he knew that when she said that she wanted a divorce. And
Mhm.
it's like I think she's saying I want a divorce as a way to like pull the fire alarm, and he thinks that the house is already burnt down. Like,
Yeah.
right, like she's saying it and it's being received in such a different way. But anyway, yes. So they're connecting, it's feeling sweet. You're like, oh, maybe there's still something here. And then out walks the English teacher who is Kate, aka Marissa Tomei, aka the woman that he didn't call back.
Which does start a hilarious string of events between with her that is never the main point or the main idea, but it keeps cropping up throughout the rest of the movie.
Yeah, and
Yes.
it, Cal tries to make it through by, like saying that they don't really know each other, but maybe they have met before. And Emily's like, "What is this?" And I don't know, Whitney, if you want to kind of take this over, if you have more detailed notes on this.
No, I stopped my notes already.
Well,
No, she's basically Kate is talking to the parents about what Robbie did wrong, but insinuating it to Cal that this is what you did wrong. And so Julianne Moore is lost. She is absolutely like, wait, do I know it? Do you know each other?
Right.
She has no idea what's going on. She's just confused. Marissa Tomei is acting her little ass off and is absolutely nuts. She's like, she's like aggressively twitchy.
Yeah.
What it is, did you guys catch she would like lick her lips, but so exaggeratively? She's
Yes.
did you see that?
I did. Again,
She was nuts. Like
crazy,
she snapped. She
yeah.
was crazy.
Crazy crept out from underneath the surface.
Mhm. Mhm.
Oh man, that was funny.
and then she lets it drop that he hooked up with her and fooled her by being honest, and then was just a scumbag like the rest of them, and never called her back, even though he said he would. And
Yeah.
And then Emily runs out and Cal chases after her. And they're just arguing about how many people he slept with, which was 9.
Right.
Because at the time he had only slept with her ever.
right.
So
Right.
he has now slept with 9 people.
And
Yeah,
Julianne
She
Moore
just kept
says,
going,
"Nine?"
9.
Which I think is probably the appropriate reaction.
Yeah, because I feel like they haven't been separated very long.
No, I feel like she's like shocked. Like it's
Yeah, and then as they're yelling, you hear Marissa Tomei in the background going, "Why don't you tell her she's the perfect combination of sexy and cute?" Which
and
is what he always used to tell her. And yeah, that's what
Right.
sent Emily over the edge.
Well, and that to me, that's the biggest betrayal of everything in their marriage.
Mhm.
Not her sleeping with the coworker and him, like that. The biggest betrayal was him saying that to some woman that he just hooked up with. Like, and I do think that comes across in the way that the wife reacts to. Like, that
And
was
he
like
knew
one
too.
step.
He knew
Yeah.
too when she said that.
Yeah, but that's a good point that we forgot to mention, that these guys got pregnant in high school
Mhm.
and have been together ever since then. So, this like point of their relationship, this like breakdown in their relationship at this point in time was like almost inevitable because they got together really young,
Mhm.
and now they're grown, and like they needed this breakdown. They needed this fight, to see if they wanted to continue on with each other or not. Like finding that out definitely adds context to the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
we jump to another scene where Hannah she passed the bar. She's at her celebratory dinner with
Well,
Josh
wait,
Groban.
did you want to call back to when they were at the bar and Marissa Tomei says that she's 5 years sober? This is where it all comes back, because when Steve Carell is trying to make it better with his wife, when Marissa Tomei is like yelling at him down the hall, and he goes,
"She's an alcoholic."
Yeah, and then you hear Marissa Tomei like,
Yeah. 5 years sober, asshole.
Yeah. There's also another story going on this whole time that like, but again, it's not like the main idea, but it's like this son is so in love with the babysitter, and you get little scenes sprinkled in here and there of just like him just kind of pining after her and her just being like, stop, because he's like a kid and she's like an adult. Like, no, she's not. She's a teenager. But
18,
You
and
corrected
he's like,
yourself so fast.
yeah,
she's like 17 or 18, and he's like 13 or 14.
yeah.
Mhm.
Probably
So
like
like
13.
obviously,
Yeah.
but like, and there is a scene between that I didn't like, between Cal and his son, where the son's talking to his dad about it, right? Which is good, right? Then the dad is like, well, if she's your soulmate, just don't give up on her. And he's essentially like coaching his son to like not take no for an answer. You know what I mean? Like, again, I get it in the context of the movie. Like, it's supposed to be representative of him and his soulmate, but like,
It is. It was referencing Emily, because this is right before they went to the parent teacher conference, and that they had that heartfelt talk right outside of the classroom. So yeah, it was a nice buildup for him. It like opened Cal's eyes as well, what he
Right.
said because he knows Emily is his soulmate, and then they had that nice conversation, then everything blew up.
Right. But meanwhile, your 13-year-old son thinks, oh, just keep pursuing the women that I want.
Right. Even
Even
when
when
she
they,
tells me not to.
yeah, even when she like she was pretty fucking clear with him, about not being interested. But
Hmm.
anyway, that's just a side note.
Back to you, Whitney, on the
Nice. Then we get to go out to a celebratory dinner with Hannah and her boyfriend. And
Right.
she thinks she's about to get proposed to, because logically that's the next check of the box,
Right.
as you guys have said. But instead of proposing, he offers her a job
Oh,
at his legal
it's
firm.
and he would, you know.
And without going into it, she's not pleased.
Hmm.
The audacity of him,
Hmm.
basically.
Yeah.
And she storms out. It's a rainy night. She storms out into the rain.
well, she says to him, I thought you were going to propose. And he said, oh, I need to really think about whether or not that's the
The
type of
direction we're
relationship
heading.
we're in. Yeah, the direction we're headed. And Liz, her friend, has been telling her the whole time that she's the catch. And now she's finally realizing I am a catch and you're not seeing me as a catch,
Hmm.
and yeah.
And she is a catch.
Mm-hmm. Yes, she is.
Yeah, but yeah, him offering her a job really represents like how he, like we were saying before, him calling her Hannah Banana, and like he doesn't view her as being like his peer, really,
Mm-hmm.
like yeah. So yeah, so that kind of falls apart. And then in like her rebellion of like that relationship and everything she thought about that and her feeling like let down by that and angry and everything, she just marches her ass straight over to the one club. And right, doesn't she just like go straight there, and she
Yes.
walks in and she's like, this pickup artist guy is definitely going to be here. She walks right up to Jake and she just grabs him and she like, is like, take me home. you know
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she's like, do you still think I'm hot? Do you still want to take me home? Then let's go.
Yeah, right.
And see, to me, this is where the rom-com starts.
Yeah.
Because Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone are so good together. They have
Hmm.
the best chemistry I think I've ever seen. And
They
I
really
just
do.
want to watch them hang out.
Yeah, they
I
do.
think
They
they would
do.
be
They have
very silly.
they have fantastic chemistry,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah, they and this I like, right? So this
This
part of the
seemed very
movie.
real to me when we got back to his house, and
Mhm.
she was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, like, oh shit.
She got this far and she lost all of her confidence and her shoot, what's it called? Adrenaline.
Right, right. And then she's like, what the
And
hell
and
did I do?
I felt like she played it so perfect, how nervous she was and jittery and like, let's do this, take off your shirt.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
like, what is this? This is what you do? You like make drinks? Then what? Then what do you do?
Yeah. I thought that
Yeah.
was
What's your
funny. She's
move?
like,
Yeah.
yeah, she's like, tell me your next move now. Like, what are you gonna do now? What are you gonna do now? And she's like slowly becoming like very turned on by him.
But
Like,
also laughing in his face about it. And I
yeah,
think he has needed this the whole time, someone to make fun of his moves. But
right.
then for her to be like, oh wow, they work. Okay.
But they work, but I think they work because I don't think they didn't work on her when it wasn't like a genuine connection. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But I think the two of them like through it, this kind of genuine connection like kind of develops here, and you can see like, oh, this is a little different for him. Like she's calling him out on all his shit. He's like,
Yeah, he's not in control anymore because he does. This is
yes,
like uncharted territory for him.
right. The power dynamic changes
Mm-hmm.
here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, then they do their footloose scene, right?
That's
Like,
not footloose. It's dirty
oh,
dancing.
how could I do that? How could I
I
do that?
don't know. It's because of Kevin Bacon.
Oh my God.
Oh
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why my brain did that. That's
Yeah,
so
it
funny.
is.
Yeah, their dirty dancing scene, which by the way, I just want to like interject like when I was coaching the club team, we took the kids the young adults down to oh, what was it called? Oh, I can't even remember, but it was in North Carolina, and it was the place where
Lake
they
Lure.
Lake Lure, North
Yeah.
Carolina, for our winter training, and that's where they filmed Dirty Dancing.
What?
Yeah, yeah, we were like, and so like the team, the Oh my God, these kids, man, I miss them so much. They're so funny. They had a dirty dancing competition. So like they did a competition where like as part of like a Winter Olympics thing that we were doing, and they were doing the move that they did in the movie. They were just in pairs, and it could be any pair. It wasn't they any pair of kids on the team were trying out this move where they run and lift the other one up, and it was really funny. Like so anyway, I can't believe I messed that up because I have this whole experience with that too. But so anyway, yeah. So ultimately, like that's where this scene culminates, where like she kind of gives in, right? Like he does his move, his dirty dancing move. He lifts her up, and it's like it's probably like the sexiest scene in the whole movie, and
It is.
she
You can feel it too. It's a little electric.
yeah, she gets really turned on. She's like, okay, you can like take me to your bedroom now. But then they don't
Mhm.
sleep together.
They don't. They just
Yeah.
end up talking and getting to know each other and getting very personal, which he said never happens.
Well, she kind of makes
Yeah.
him.
He
He said
finally
he's
says, "Do me a favor, ask me a question about myself."
mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
Because he doesn't do
they
that.
have a true connection, and it's like nice to see. And I felt like I honestly felt relieved that they didn't sleep together on that first night, because it was more meaningful what happened. Like it just makes them solid as a couple. Like you don't doubt that like their couplehood.
That their relationship is built off of a fling or
Yeah,
anything like that. Yeah, there's substance to it.
right. Or that you can't reduce it down to him ultimately just getting
Just
what
being
he
good
wanted.
looking.
Yeah, and like all his crap just working anyway, right? Like that's not
Hmm.
what happened. So
Yeah.
speaking of, I have a note here. I was like this when I was watching the movie, I was like so salty. I was like
Yeah.
that scene, I liked that scene, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying like I have a note here that says this is by straight people for straight people.
Yeah.
But it really is. Like honestly, like I can see why it's all charming and sexy and all of that, but like as a person that is not straight, really, like I mean, I've dated men before, but truly like it's not my like my everyday experience is not very straight. Like
What?
I know that's shocking. But I definitely like could sense like this whole movie. I was like, this is just not for me, like at all. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? But again, it wasn't written for me.
You
They don't,
you mean you weren't into it when Ryan took his shirt off
not
and she
really.
demanded that it stay off?
Yeah, not really. That didn't do anything for me, like at all. I was like, my eyes were rolling so hard they almost got
Mine
stuck
were
in the back
too.
of my head. Yours were rolling too?
Oh yeah, I'm straight as an arrow, and yeah, they were rolling.
Well, then maybe that arrow has a bend in it. So I'm just teasing you. But anyway, yeah, but it's like whatever. Like it wasn't meant to be anything other than what it is. So like but as a gay person, it's just like, oh my God, here we
Yeah,
but
didn't
that's
draw
not
you in.
always true. Like that's why I said this one is by straight people for straight people, because it felt more that way than some of the even other rom-coms that we watch, and they've all been straight couples, like because 99.9% of rom-coms are,
Yeah,
Hmm.
you've been into some of the other Jakes.
yeah, like I like Sweet Home Alabama, that
You like that, Jake?
yeah, like I like that, Jake. I was like it didn't leave me feeling like this is not for me, you know? But this one did. Well, I don't know, Lauren. I mean, you're not straight. I mean, how did this you know what I mean? Like how did this affect you? Did you feel like this was so not for you?
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, I think that like I feel like yeah, this movie didn't do anything for me. I did I do acknowledge that like not all movies, like I don't have to relate to all movies. You know what I mean? So I guess there's that too. Like this one,
Right.
I didn't love it, but it's, it didn't speak to me. It doesn't have to. Other people seem to really like it, and
Yeah.
I do feel like I've observed these patterns, So like
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
know it's real, like I know it's resonant with people's true lived experience, but
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, my whatever. I get annoyed in these movies because I just feel like it could all be solved with a conversation. I feel like if there's one thing that I'm going to say
Yes.
every time we have a conversation, it's like if people just spoke to each other, these movies would be 5 minutes long. So that's why they don't. But They could
Mhm.
just have a conversation, literally anybody. But
Mhm.
Yeah, but that's real life because,
I know
there's a lot of emotions and awkwardness wrapped up in a lot of these situations, especially between Cal and his wife. I mean, yeah, they need to just
no, I
have a
know.
conversation, but obviously they're in a pattern where they don't, and
Mhm.
like that felt more, like that
Realistic.
relationship. Yeah, that one felt very realistic. I was like, yep, I
Mhm.
have seen this before actually. So,
Yeah.
That one was, I know we're not done, but
no,
that relationship made me feel so sad. Like the
it
whole
did.
movie,
Yeah.
even at the beginning when Steve Carell flings himself out of the car, I did laugh like a couple ha-has out loud, like, but then I immediately like felt bad for having laughed because it was so sad,
Because he
you
was
Hmm.
know?
depressed. Yeah, he
I
was.
mean, yeah.
Yeah. And she just wanted to talk so bad to her partner.
Yeah, she's
And
like
he
desperate. She made a
and he
move out of
needed it.
desperation.
And
Yes.
he
Mhm.
needed to talk to her like that, like he needed it so bad, but he just couldn't allow himself to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But anyway, yeah, movie's not over.
Yeah, we at after we get the Jacob and Hannah scene, we see Cal at the bar calling Jacob over and over and over, unable
Oh
to
yeah.
get a hold of him, leaving a bunch of messages. And Cal looks over and sees this middle-aged guy not really taking care of himself, drinking out of a straw, looking awkward, just like he used to a couple weeks ago. He just
Right.
and he's just reminded. And
Mm.
then
There's another scene of him in the yard, right?
yeah, taking care of the yard.
Yeah, but this time he sees her through the window and you can just tell
Not
that
this
he's
time. First, she
oh.
goes on a date with David
Oh.
Lindhagen.
Okay. Okay.
It's not great. She's obviously trying to, I mean, he's into her, which we've already seen. And I think she's just lost and
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't know what to do with her
Yeah.
husband or with David. I think she regrets seeing David, but
Yeah.
I think she made this mistake once. Maybe she felt like she had to go with it and see where it took her. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I feel like she was going through the motions with that, like,
Mhm.
and I feel like both actors did such a good job, like, like Julianne Moore and Kevin Bacon, because
Mhm.
you can really tell, like, it felt so real, the awkwardness of like, we're on this date, he wants this relationship to work, and she's just so, because again, she never got her fight, she never got her conversation, so she's in limbo.
Mhm.
She's totally in limbo, and it shows. And she needs to hit pause on this new relationship because she didn't end her last one, and that's really what's happening here.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's good acting for sure.
Yeah, and then Kevin Bacon leaves awkwardly because
Hmm.
he gets introduced as her coworker to Jessica. Jessica storms out saying, "I don't want your slutty money." And Julianne Moore is just standing there so confused because everyone knows everything, but I'm not sure she realizes that.
Who's
And
My
Jessica?
slutty money.
Jessica's the babysitter.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. She's
Yeah, my
just
slutty money.
She's like, honey, what's wrong?
that's so
Yeah,
funny.
Julianne Moore had no idea what's going on in that part of the story.
That's so true. I also have a note here. Like there's a lot of cell phone usage. And I was noticing how tiny the phones are. Like it's so interesting how phones went from being huge, right, to being small to being pretty big again.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
my iPhone is like twice the size of the cell phones in this movie. You feel like you could just take the phones in this movie and just chew on, just put them in your mouth and just just eat them in one bite.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Well,
side note.
immediately we'll quickly go through this. Jessica goes home and starts awkwardly, but she's taking the naked pictures for Cal.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We get through that, and that's when we're at the scene where Cal's back at the house, working on the yard, and he gets a phone call from Emily
Okay.
because
Right.
Emily is just kind of sad without him eating ice cream with the kids and missing him.
Right. 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 They're missing a part of their family.
She
Mm-hmm.
pretends that she's in the basement and she can't figure out how to put the pilot light back on, right? For
Oh,
the
right. And he
water
watches
heater or the
it.
furnace. And he sees
Yeah.
that she's not in the basement, she's just calling.
Right. And
Mm-hmm.
So
so
he
that connects them
pretends and
again.
yeah, walks her through it. And I think he feels like he's got a shot.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's the first time he gets out of his own way.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
Good way to put that.
Yeah. Okay. Then what? I know, like, shit's about to
Well,
hit the
so he
fan.
hatches a plan that he's going to try to win her back, and he gets his kids involved, which again makes me feel very apprehensive because I'm just thinking these kids are at these formidable ages, and you're
I know.
bringing them right into your divorce drama and using them as tools for this, but neither here nor there. So he's assembling something. I think while he's doing that, Jacob calls him and says,
Right.
"Sorry, I've been dipped out, but I met this girl and like it's different, and I'm actually going to meet her parents today or her mom today. Like help me out, And so
All right,
Cal just
tables
gives
turn. Now he needs
Cal
help.
gives him a little bit of advice, and he says he's happy for him, and like they still seem like they have like a nice little guy friendship, and yeah, they're just being a little bit more like healthy, I think. And so that happens, and then we see things are speeding up here. The babysitter's mom is going through
It's
laundry.
putting clothes away, I think.
Yes, and finds an envelope in the dresser and opens it, and then without explaining anything,
The
hands
envelope
this.
has Cal's name written on the front.
Yes,
Yeah.
and like
With
hearts and
hearts.
shit. Yeah. Yes. And so she opens it, sees the naked pictures, and then
can you
goes
believe she
downstairs.
does what she does next?
No.
She walks downstairs and without saying anything, hands them to her husband, the girl's father.
The girl's dad.
And this was like full body nudity.
Yeah,
It's probably illegal for him to have them in his hands.
No, it honestly is. It actually is, even if it's his own daughter. But like it's so that mother betrayed her daughter beyond recognition in that scene. Like
she didn't want to be the bad guy, clearly.
But
maybe she would
again say anything. Anything. It's right. Like she could have said whatever the guy's, I think his name was Bernie. Also, as an aside, Bernie and the wife chose Julianne Moore's character in the separation, so they were already no longer friends with Cal anyway.
Right.
But
Bernie chose Cal, but it didn't
his
matter.
wife, right? His wife chose. Yeah.
Didn't he give him like cologne or something from the mall, or like a candle?
He did.
Yeah,
like a parting gift.
Yeah, that was kind of a funny scene. But anyway, yeah. So she could have said, Bernie, this is what's happening, but like she doesn't say anything, so then violates her daughter's autonomy in every way by giving this to the father, and then they don't have a conversation with her. They just go over and assume that Cal is the reason that this is happening.
Right. The father just gets up and leaves.
Yes.
And then we're on our next scene where it goes so fast. Well, and not only is he driving quickly over to Cal's house, but Jessica is also driving behind him. I mean, she almost gets into a wreck a couple times.
Yeah, because she sees him
I thought she was in the car.
They have the envelope. No,
she's in a different car.
Oh, okay.
She's got to chase him on his
way. Right.
So they're going towards this house. Steve Carell and the kids are in the backyard.
Right.
Julianne Moore gets home.
She's blindfolded because there's a surprise for her in the backyard.
Yep. So they go into the backyard. He has constructed a mini golf hole because their first date was mini golf, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hannah
comes
home,
through. Mm-hmm.
And she has her new boyfriend, Jacob, in tow.
This
Julianne
is where
Moore,
we find out.
Clueless in this movie, still has the blindfold on. Steve Carell is like, what the hell are you doing here? Jacob's like, what are you doing here?
Their faces are so good because you believe it. You believe they are in absolute shock.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're so good.
This reveal of realizing that Hannah is Steve Carell's like oldest daughter that they had when they were like teenagers. This
What's
moment,
a banana?
I was just like, oh my god.
No, he says, what's a nana?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, what is that?
No, he says, what's a nana? Because they call her Nana.
Oh,
and that's why he didn't. That's one reason he never made the connection. Is because they always called her Nana.
Oh, that's funny.
I thought that was so slick too, because earlier in the movie, Cal and Emily say, like, have you talked to Nana? Yeah, she's worried about us. But I just assumed it was one of their mothers.
It was grandma. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so. I didn't even catch that.
Mm-hmm.
They were very smart in the not revealing it.
Yeah.
Yes. And so the two of them, Cal says, no, leave, not my daughter. Hannah's like, you know each other. Jacob's like, come on, man, like, be cool, And then when does Kevin Bacon come?
Not yet.
Well, not
Okay.
yet.
First Bernie gets there.
Right.
Bernie gets
Well-
there. Go ahead.
Hold on. Well, when does Ryan Gosling get punched? He gets punched first, right?
I can't remember the order of punching, but I know that like Bernie comes and assaults Cal, and
Right.
then
Bernie gets Cal, and
Yeah,
then
they're in a tussle. Then David Lindhagen shows up and he's like,
and then he
"Whoa."
shows up and says like, "Hey, Emily," and they go, "Who is that?" And "Who are you?" He goes, "David Lindhagen," and all of them
Well,
say
Jacob,
David Lindhagen.
yeah,
At the
then-
same
Jacob,
time,
like-
Jacob takes off his ring.
yeah,
to go punch David Lindhagen on behalf of Cal.
Yes.
which I love because it's like he's like, you've caused my friend a lot of suffering, and he decks him. So it's like I like that even though he's being rejected for who he is, he still wants to go and protect.
Right.
He's not a bad guy. That's why
No,
it's like
yeah.
the movie starts to be a little bit redeeming because you're like, all right, you know.
Yeah.
No,
And
this
also,
is-
I just want to say, back when he and Emma Stone were having their evening of conversation, he did say, I have all of these things because I really like shopping on QVC because I'm deeply unhappy, which was like, that's the truth bomb, right? Like, I'm unhappy and I'm
Yes.
just filling the void with all of these different things. But anyway, so back here, he's a good guy. He decks David Lindhagen.
They all start wrestling, and then the police show up, and that's my favorite. If I could like frame a photo from a movie, it would be them. I know a lot of people would probably do the usual suspects lineup, but for me, it would be these four being told to fight inside next time by the police.
Right.
Yeah, so
Keep
they
it
don't
in
have
the
to come.
family.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh man, it's funny.
Well, David Lindhagen leaves. Hannah and Jacob leave. I think everybody's mad at Cal.
Yeah.
Cal leaves before David Lindhagen. He says, you can have her, about
Right.
Julianne Moore, and then David Lindhagen's like, huh, like, thanks. Which makes
Yeah.
me, I didn't like that because I felt bad. Because it's like Julianne Moore didn't, it's not her fault that this is chaos. And it's not like
Mhm.
you can have her. Like, all of these dudes just acted like children. And then they're now blaming her
Mhm.
for that.
And also acting like she's something that they can hand over to. It's
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's a passing comment, but still, him saying that is like, it's like, dude, she's not yours to give. But anyway, it's all very realistic, though. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be stereotypical, but like, I do feel like this could happen because I feel like men, sometimes can behave this way over a woman,
Mhm.
all due to no conversations, of course. Like,
And the woman has no say in it.
and she,
Mhm.
yeah, like, and she has no say, and all these
Like,
guys are just
I'm-
like fighting.
Yeah. She doesn't
Yeah.
want David Lindhagen. So the fact that he said that is, I think it
It's-
is extra hurtful.
Yeah, it's like insulting. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so they've got their big fight. And then I think we get over, and then I think we transition, like that cools down. The guys are all sitting on the wall, like you said, the lineup, and then they go. Is this also before we get to the 8th grade graduation? Did we see is this where Cal and says to Jake, I've seen too much, I know
Yes.
too much, right? Like
Well, so hang on. So we see a couple scenes with like Jacob and Hannah talking, and he's like, "Oh,
your
you're gonna
dad."
like call your dad?" She's like, "No," because she's pissed, and he
Mhm.
keeps trying to say, "Call your dad," which again,
Mhm.
he's not a bad guy. He like
Yeah.
wants
He's
her
like,
to
what
have
do you want
that
to do today?
relationship.
Call your dad?
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Now he's being persistent and won't take no for an answer for good reasons, not for scummy reasons. So
Right.
Mhm.
channeling that persistence in a better direction. And then he finally meets up. He goes to the bar and he finds Cal and he sits down and he says, like, I love her. And Steve Carell, yeah, he says, I've seen too much.
Right.
I'm never going to give you my approval. And Jacob's like, you should call your kids too. Like, and he's like, what are you giving me parenting advice now? Like, he just won't have any of it. But Jacob's
Right, he
really
was-
trying to help.
Yeah. And Jacob was like, you going to the graduation?
Yeah, your son
Mhm.
misses you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Jacob really becomes like the guy that's like really looking out for everybody in this family at this point,
Mhm.
Well, and sometimes you need that outside perspective to see the truth of everybody,
Hmm.
like
Oh,
they're
yeah.
all that family, they're all too close in it, so
Mhm.
Hmm.
so they
Yeah.
go, so then I think we get to the 8th grade graduation and Robbie is like the valedictorian of his class and gets to give the speech, and Steve Carell,
Yeah.
Cal, is sitting away from everybody, but the rest of his family is all together, and Marissa Tomei is sitting down there with the principal, and she keeps like shooting daggers.
Mhm.
And at one point, the daughter, the little girl, this is like her only line in the movie. She's like, she's pretty about the teacher,
Yeah.
about Marissa Tomei, and the mom was like,
Because
ugh.
when Marissa Tomei introduces Robbie, because he's going to give his
Right.
valedictorian speech.
I thought that was so funny. I was like, and this is where the little girl shines.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then his
and then
speech
Robbie,
is depressing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, he just gets up there and weirdly makes a whole speech about love being dumb, which has nothing to do with eighth grade. But
Yeah.
so, and then Steve Carell gets up and interrupts the speech and says that some kind of message about it not being dumb. And
And again,
honestly, it was so cheesy.
Marissa Tomei being wonderful gave him the finger when he started talking.
Yeah. I mean, like, this is the one part in the movie, though, that I was like, okay, this is not fucking realistic. Like, everything else I can see happening, but this, I was like, this guy would get fucking kicked off the stage right away. He'd be like, you know what I mean? Like, no way. And his son, this is so wrong of him actually to do this to his son at this.
He like bulldozes his son's speech.
Yeah.
I mean, and you kind of understand why. Do you think he wants his son to be remembered for this depressing speech about how love isn't worth it, love is terrible?
No, I mean, but I think it's more about Cal. I think the Cal's being a little selfish in this scene.
Well, I do as well, but I think Cal is noticing that it's his fault that his son feels that way. So he's trying to fix it in the moment. Even if he shouldn't, he's trying to fix it as soon as he can.
Which I guess represents a lot of the rest of the movie, right? Like, he's really, really clunky. So maybe this is just him doing that again, just like, just kind of screwing things up like a little bit more in a way.
Mhm.
Although that's not really what happens in the movie, I guess. But
most of the time, students give speeches, they are submitted ahead of time to be approved. So
True.
That's also why I just don't think this would be realistic, because there would have been some oversight here, and then when he went off script, if he did go rogue, like somebody would have stepped in. But anyway, yeah, Cal gets up there, he steals the show, he has a grand apology, kind of like, love's worthwhile.
Sort of.
I'm so glad that I got my first ice cream cone with my wife, and it's just this like,
I don't.
It doesn't fix everything, but it
fixes.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say it fixes it enough with his son that at the very end of the speech, his son pops back up and goes, "I still love you, Jessica."
Yeah.
He just goes right back to his nonsense with Jessica. But in this also, like, I there was a quote in Cal's speech here that I wrote it down because I really kind of hated it. He said, "I've loved her even when I've hated her. Only married couples will understand that one." And everyone starts nodding. And I was just like, oh, that, I don't know. Like, I felt like that was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
You don't.
It's a trope, though. That's like,
you
again,
hated her?
I know, but societally, it's like, I just feel like everybody, it's like, oh, the old ball and chain, or like, I mean, we love to make jokes about hating our spouses in this country. Like, I don't know why,
That is so tired. Like,
you know what it reminds me of? Jenna played this video game where at the end of the game, after like the credits and everything, like you got to propose to one of the story members, like any of these, like Harvestella. Yeah,
great
it's this
game.
Yeah, but there's like 8 or 9 different like non-playable characters that adventure with you, and then after it's all done, the mayor says, "Hey, here's the specs for like this like ring that you can make, and you can offer it to somebody, but only one person, aka an engagement ring, and then you get to pick which character." And like Jenna picked the coolest character in the game, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah, that one is the coolest character, like that's a great choice. And so rad the whole game. As soon as Jenna proposed to this chick, turned into terrible and was like, make sure you come back soon, like do this, do that. I was like, what?
They turned her into a nag immediately.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Jenna was like, well, I'm never coming back.
Yeah. I never logged back into the game, and I was like, well, this was clearly written by men. Like, like, ugh, these tropes.
Anyway.
Yeah, anyway, yeah. But anyway, whatever. He does the speech. The son professes his love for Jessica again, seeming his spirit seems to be restored, I think is what that means.
Hmm.
And then like this whole message of like just never give up kind of pans out.
Hmm.
Then the 17 the babysitter ends up gifting. Am I
Yeah, I
speaking?
could not believe this. This made
I
me so
know.
uncomfortable.
She gifts the naked pictures to the
To
13-year-old
Robbie.
boy.
Oh
Yeah.
Which
my
then I
I
just want to
was
gosh.
say, A of all, gross. B of all, what did her dad give him back to her?
Oh, good
Yeah,
point.
that's a good point.
That's all I could think. I was like, how'd you get these back?
I
Yeah.
never thought of that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like that dad, that energy that he was bringing, those things would have been burned like later that day.
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a good point. But yeah, the parents kind of are talking outside of the graduation. They're like, "Oh, he looks happy," which is funny because he just got the naked
Yeah.
pictures, and they don't know that. But I did think that was funny. I feel like
That
that's
was,
why they
yeah.
set that whole thing up. But like,
Hmm.
essentially, you see them reconnecting though. They're like, "Oh, our kid looks happy," you know.
And then we get another trope that I can't stand where Cal goes over to Jacob and says, I bought a gun from a sketchy guy off the internet and, I am prepared to shoot you in the face with it, but, and then he sticks his hand out. It's like, okay, we don't have to be like,
I know.
toxic masculinity times 1,000. I'll murder you if you
Right.
harm my
Jacob Meta
daughter.
at his
Like,
most pathetic. So
Yeah.
he knows who he is.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
there's no point. It's all lost, Cal.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely a little out of place, but
Yeah, I thought it was out of place for the character. I thought it just felt like another one of the tropes getting thrown in at the end, like, oh, protective
yeah.
father of my firstborn daughter, be good
Yeah,
to
who's
her.
like 35.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
But
She's
yeah,
not
so
35.
Well,
probably like
whatever
28.
age you are when you finish law school.
She's in her
She's like
20s.
47.
She looks so
Parents,
good.
the parents are about to retire. Oh, I mean, what
But
age would you be when you finish law school? Probably
well,
like,
if you did it right away,
Mid 20s, right?
like later
Mid?
20s, I would say.
well, if you did it right away, would you do 4 years and then go right to law school, or do you have to do a
How long
master's?
is law school?
Yeah,
I don't know.
We're
I don't know
asking Lauren.
either.
Lauren, you know everything.
I
Yeah, why don't
don't
you
know
know?
that.
All right, well, whatever. She's probably under 30.
Yeah. And then we just assume that it probably worked out because show's
Yeah,
over.
right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, it's all over. I I thought that for this movie it could be fun if instead of saying what percent rom and what percent com, do you
Hmm.
think? I think we can do what percent crazy, what percent stupid, what percent love. So I'll kick us off. I'll kick us off.
Okay.
All right. I said 15% crazy. Actually, I don't agree. Okay, so you know what?
It
My
happened to you again?
yeah, my thing that I wrote down, I no longer agree with because again, these movies, like I in the moment I feel like my brows were like furrowed the whole time I was watching this movie. But thinking back on it with, good company, now I'm like laughing and I'm like, you know what I mean? So what I said right when the movie ended was 15% crazy, 80% stupid, 5% love. And that's
Whoa.
such a salty take.
Do you want to redo it? I'll tell you what mine is.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think mine is 20% crazy,
Mhm.
40% stupid, 40% love.
I think
I think that's
that's
accurate.
pretty fair. Yeah.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
I would call it, if I was going to do the usual, I would give it a 50-50 rom to com.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
it's
yeah,
pretty
but
balanced.
what about
I'm
crazy,
agreeing with
stupid?
Whitney.
Oh, you're going with her percentages? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think Whitney, I think you really hit the nail on the head with your
Woo!
percentages. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
winner of today's podcast.
Yay!
Oh man. And then I guess another one of our questions is, like there's a
Who would
lot
you
of
date?
characters. Yeah, there's a lot of characters to speak for here. So I don't know. I guess like who would and who wouldn't you date of any of these characters, I guess?
While I love Ryan Gosling, and I think any character he plays is believable, I wouldn't date him.
Mhm.
Emma Stone or Hannah immediately.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Marissa Tomei is crazy. I would like to watch that from afar.
yeah.
I think Cal is dateable, but it seems like your future might be a little sad. Like you just might be sad about it.
Like he's not really doing that much harm, but it's kind of bleak.
Right. Right. Um, but and then Emily, Julianne Moore, nah.
Yeah, I'd have to agree
So
with you on that one.
yeah.
I
So
I feel like Ryan Gosling, I feel like you made a good point there. Like I don't think I would date him either, but I would definitely want to be one of his bros.
yes.
Yeah.
He seems like Ryan Gosling in general seems like this guy who doesn't take anything seriously. I have you guys watched Barbie yet?
No.
No,
You still haven't. Okay.
we need
I
to.
think we should today, Jenna. I think
Yeah. It's
Just
about time.
watch Ryan's face. His acting as Ken, it's all over his face. And the
Yeah.
wonder and excitement that he just shows by moving his face. He's so magical. I
Yeah.
swear.
Yeah.
You'll really love him after Barbie, but
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we should watch it today, Lauren. I agree with you. We're like behind on the culture at this point.
mhm.
But yeah, I wouldn't date him. Agree also with you, Whitney. Like Hannah, yes, like 1,000 times over, I would date her. Like she seems
Mhm.
so cool and so fun. Like, yeah, 100%. I also feel like her and I would have a lot in common, having like very young parents that got together when they were really young, essentially because they had you.
Yeah.
Like I probably could relate to her on that. Well, I definitely could. But anyway, yeah, I would date her. And then for me, it's a no for all the other characters. I actually Hannah's the only one I would date. Yeah.
Yeah, and no offense to Cal and Emily, they're just older.
Yeah. They're
They seem
parents.
like my parents. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. What about you, Lauren?
Yeah, I think Emma Stone's character, for all the reasons already said, I actually do find Jacob dateable in the post meet, like
Hmm.
getting together with Hannah, like that version of
Mhm.
him, because he's like sweet, he's like in touch with his emotions, he's
Hmm.
Yes.
like he's a positive advocate for her. I like that about him,
Hmm.
and yeah, I mean like he takes care of himself. So
Hmm.
I think that second half of movie Jacob. I like Julianne Moore's character, but yeah, they are like parents, so it's hard to like consider them in this
Hmm.
question. The thing that always cracks me up about Julianne Moore, and I may have said this when we talked about the fact that we were going to watch this movie. I don't know if that was in the podcast or not, but I was looking her up recently because of a couple of the other roles that she's in, and that May December movie.
Hmm.
And when I looked her up, it was like she's known for playing like emotionally troubled women.
Yeah.
So which is true. So it was funny to see her in this one where she's actually just like not troubled. I mean, like she's having, like a midlife crisis, but she's just like very normal.
Hmm.
And I'm so not used to seeing that. I'm used to seeing her like be a little bit unhinged. So that was kind of funny. Just total aside.
Which
That's
is
true.
a testament to her being a good actress. Like I love when I see actors and actresses be something just a little different than what they normally are, because then I'm like, oh yeah, you are good at this. Like,
Hmm.
yeah. So she's definitely good. She was very good at being just kind of like a normal mom, just kind of hitting this weird point in her life.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah. I felt for her, throughout the whole movie. I felt like I wanted to, I would have, I felt like I wanted to like talk to her for a minute,
Hmm.
just give her someone to talk to.
Yeah. Nobody ever like asked if she was okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
No one
Yeah,
checked
like,
in on her.
I think that that's actually another reason that this movie was a little bit annoying to watch is it's all about the male perspective and the male process of
Or the
this,
male journey.
the
Yeah.
male journey. Yeah. And
oh,
again,
I
that's
mean, yeah,
fine, but it's
100%.
also kind of funny to think about because I think that it's rom-coms are not really for men. So
Right.
it's funny to watch a rom-com where you're watching the men.
That's true. that is
That is true.
yeah, this is like a little different for that reason. Huh. Well,
Maybe,
maybe
maybe
they
that's why
wanted
I didn't like
to.
it.
Well, I mean, maybe when they made this movie though, like, I mean, it was a big hit, and I feel like maybe partially is because they drew in men, like young men and young women. Like it wasn't just a bunch of young women going to the movie theaters to watch this. Like maybe they hit that demographic too.
Yeah. Okay. How about favorite quotes?
Oh,
You have a favorite quote? Oh,
I
I
do.
do.
what you
So
got?
mine is when they're at the mall and Jacob says, "Are you the billionaire owner of Apple Computers?" And Cal says, "No." And he says, "Oh, okay. In that case, you've got no right to wear New Balance sneakers ever."
Mine is when they're in the gym, they're not in the locker room, but they're in the gym, and Jacob's explaining that he says the war between the sexes is over. We won. The second women started doing pole dancing for exercise.
I didn't even
It's
catch
funny.
that. Let's see. My favorite quote was, so I took a note at one point that Emma Stone, or Hannah only guzzles drinks in this movie. I don't know if you noticed that. She doesn't
Everyone's drink, yes.
yeah, she just guzzle like every drink, she just like sucks it down. And she guzzles 2 drinks at his house, his special drink that he makes for all the women. And she guzzles 2 down and then says, "It's not my favorite. Thank you." That was so funny.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at the restaurant, she was drinking just a colleague or something, friend's drink at the restaurant when he was offering her a position. And she goes, "Is this gin? I hate
Yeah.
gin." And then she continues to drink it. Yeah, just guzzling.
Just guzzling and not enjoying any of them.
Mm-mm.
Oh, she is something. She is so funny. Oh, well, I think that's all
Okay.
we got for Crazy Stupid Love. It was all 3 of those things. And would I watch it again? No. But but I'm glad that I have watched it because I feel like I have filled in a little piece of my one of my cultural gaps has been filled in. So
You're welcome.